all of our fee increases as we do the budget, so that we limit the public hearings and the public is aware of all that we're doing.
Okay.
And Bo had told me about this way back in January, and by the time I got into June, I completely spaced it. So my apologies to you and to the public for having to have 2 public hearings on fee increases. So.
Yeah, we're not doing this
Okay.
every month.
I try really hard not to do that once a year.
Yeah.
Humans will be humans.
Yeah.
So what, if I have this in front of me, that there's a fee increase, what is the increase per ticket at the gate? What are we?
I believe it went to $6.
It's from
$6 for adults.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry, you should have this in there as well. From 6 to 8 for adults. Yes.
Is it the increase for students attending or?
Without an ASB card, yes.
That's
If they have an ASB card, they're still get in for free. There is
For
an
the
increase for them.
Weiser kids, but like when we go visit Weiser, will
Yes,
we get-
there is also a student increase, so, and it's on that sheet. I apologize.
No, that's fine.
It was in the newspaper.
Yeah. They know I'm asking for reports.
We'll get the paper tomorrow.
No,
Was it last
Thursday.
Yeah, was it the last, it was the last 2
Three of
weeks.
them
Yeah.
sitting.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was in the last 2 weeks, so I should have attached it to your board minutes. I apologize for that. It happens, you should pardon.
So what do we need to do?
This is I don't think we have to take act, do we have to take?
Yeah,
a vote
you have to approve the new rates.
Okay,
You would open it up to Nancy or Alex if they'd like to have any comments on there for your consideration. And then,
because it's public hearing.
yes.
I'm not yours back.
Oh, thank you.
Feel that.
Back.
Can I ask why the seizures fee went up so much?
Because it was rich.
I'm glad you think so.
I need to become a senior.
You will.
But
I think
that was criminal, so
I think the
that seems.
senior one was half of what the adult all sport, they went up to 200, but the seniors, yeah, I agreed, but they were saying if you went on an average of 25 events throughout the year and paid the senior $6, it would be about that cost. And so, but they actually host 70 home events that you could attend with your senior ticket. So the more you attend, the less you pay per item. So I agree. I tell you what, I have looked at their costs for officials, and that has gone up exponentially. And not that, number one, there's not as large a pool, and so they need to increase the to get people to do that. And secondly, it's just the cost of having the sports. You know, we want to have good officials, and they have some training, and they have travel costs and things like that. So there's all those things to consider. Yes, it does seem
How
high.
many people do you lose purchasing tickets when you raise it that much? Because you consider some of those things and you don't actually make more money.
I don't know how many all sports passes they actually sell. I don't know anything. I've never known that fee. I've never known that that number at all.
So the other part of this that's important to know is that this is not Weiser
Right.
raising the prices. This is the SRB and our district raising the prices. This is across the board, all schools.
So just to clarify on that, I know SRV as a group decided to raise costs. When they decide to raise costs, the cost that they are accepting on raising is just the single pass, or are they Because I imagine that.
I think they went with, I think all of them
All
are
of them.
uniform.
All of them are
All of
I
them.
don't believe so. The passes are district specific.
Oh, and are they?
And our passes are still considerably less than others, is what I understand.
Oh, is that right? I did not know that.
Yeah.
So they voted on the top three then?
Yeah, the
adult fee,
individual
child
ticket
CPD,
price.
and the student.
Mhm.
And then
There are some districts, and Bo chose not to do this, there are some districts that have a family pass, and the districts that have been offering that are probably going to take it off of their offering this year, because the definition of family has expanded to the point that one person buys a pass for $150 because you get grandpa to buy the pass, and then he brings in every niece, nephew, and stepchild that they were having. One particular school district that Bo was telling me about, there was 35 people coming in on one single pass for a family pass. And so,
And that
and
was
so,
what you're
There's some
doing.
and so Bo
families
said,
that are
so, yeah, Bo said he's chosen not to even offer a family pass just to prevent the confusion and the heartache of that, you know, having to tell somebody, no, it's just your spouse and your children. So they do think that the family passes are district specific, but the individual ticket price will be common among all SRB athletic events.
Any question to our audience? Any questions you have pertaining to this increase?
I was going to say I can comment being a senior, but so can John, so.
Oh, kind of up to what it is.
They'll take us down a different road. The 150, here's just a thought, as Alan, the other senior in my house, and I have discussed. Sometimes, well, I'll just give them, I'll pay $100 and maybe only go to soccer or only go there. Not that I do that, but. So sometimes you might get a gift from somebody versus what you might not get as a charge.
I guess that's my only thought, is that you'll sell more of them if they're not as much. You know, I get the whole, if they went to every single match at home, but who does that? You know,
My mother used to. But she,
some do, sorry.
Oh,
I don't
you killed her.
tennis match, those are free. No, but I just find that interesting, that it's so much higher. I guess I think we sell more when it's not quite so high, but if that's what everyone else is doing, then it is what it is, unfortunately.
We don't charge gate for our baseball, and some schools do.
yeah,
So
yeah, and that may, I think we were also
we're still paying the
anticipating.
officials. So,
Alex, do you have a comment?
On occasion, there are sports passes given out as fundraising for nonprofits or things like that. That would be wonderful if that continued, but obviously it maybe put a limit on it so it's not abused. So if they go away, it'd still be kind of nice to have a few of those out there for fundraisers.
We have some other people, just to let you know that we're talking about the SRB has raised the gate fees in all sports, so this is a public hearing, so if there's comments about that, that's why everybody's participating, because we're talking about that specific.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Everybody else is going to stay up to program.
Well, I'll jump off the bridge of one.
Yeah, I don't have a problem staying with, with the whole, what Bo was saying, with the equity of sticking with the gate passes, not the gate passes, but the gate admissions, going with the 8, 6, and 6 increase. I'm not a big fan of increasing the all sports annual pass for our seniors. My grandma is here in town. She goes to a lot of sports events. She doesn't buy the All-Star sports pass, probably because she doesn't know it exists. So she pays the gate fee every time she comes in. But I don't know, just thinking about her situation, being on a fixed income and having to spend $150 to buy an annual pass, seems a little steep for our seniors, especially when we want them there.
I wonder, you know, and of course we'd love to have Bo here to talk about it, because there's a lot of thought processes going into this, and I wonder if there's something we can do that would be, you know, like, I have family that's going to go to all the volleyball games, and that's all they're going to go to. We have kids that go to all.
They used to do a volleyball one, and they
There's
did by
or
sport.
just all
They
or
did,
the basketball,
but that
or
just
the,
kind of became a
you know,
little
and
bit.
maybe it's too hard to track, too
Yeah.
hard to do things, but I think
I did think
the
it-
increase of the annual passes, I would love to have more conversation about that, why and how. I totally completely don't agree with the increase in fees for the gate tickets. I am like John was saying, you know, our seniors, I feel like we owe them a lot.
And you can approve the individual gate fees and table the other, and then take that back up to the August meeting. There's nothing that prohibits that from happening.
Oh, somebody walked by this car.
Okay.
Oh,
It was a little bit of work.
it's just,
But in order for us to move on, we do have to have, we will have to vote on this. Is there any further conversation about that? Going that route?
I like that idea, and have somebody maybe help us understand the justification for affecting the fee increase for the season pass. I'd like to do that personally, because it is so steep. So I just make a motion that we accept or approve the fee increases for the 25-26 school year for the individual events, to keep in mind with the SRE conference, and table the annual pass increase. Also approve the activity card increase for 25-26.
So before we vote on that, is anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to table the yearly passes, but okay, other gate fees, including the student activity cards. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So I guess, because we're here, we'll put that back on the agenda for August. Okay, thank you. All right. We started differently, so now we're going to get back on track. Mr. Kirby, would you present to us the superintendent report, please?
I'm gonna shut this off.
You could have stood up.
that's too much work. Okay, I thought I put this in a earlier weekly update, but I didn't see it, so I'll just read it to you. From Katie Maloney, talking about our advanced opportunities funds at the high school. She said on June 22nd, I just received this report for advanced ops funds used by WHS students for the 24-25 school year. The state of Idaho advanced ops paid for 232 overload classes, health, keyboarding, etc. 158 exams, OSHA, CMA, etc. 450 dual credit classes, English 101, calculus, pre-calculus. Total of 1,426 dual credits earned for a total of $140,938, utilized by 387 students. So in addition, over the past 4 years, these funds helped Paisley Lawyer earn her associate's degree this summer through CWI. Worth mentioning, no other states offer this program. So this is other states, and our kids will benefit through online programs with advanced ops. So it's generous of the state to allow that to occur, and our kids are clearly taking advantage of it. Awesome. I've mentioned to you that well, okay, first of all, the Fiddle Festival
well. I was in communication a number of times with Gary Hill throughout the process, and we had the new parking lot area up there. They made a huge effort to get grass growing. It didn't, so it was dirty. And so that was a little bit of an issue. We believe that the grass on the field next year, there was good grass in it this April, May, but there's still corrugates in it. It was a little rough, so they felt we needed to go in there and smooth it out. When they did, we never got enough substantial rain up there to get it going. They knocked down this much grass. I think that grass will be there next year. Other than that, it worked out well for them. They had a lot of people parking there, and they utilized it, so they didn't really get any complaints from Gary. They appreciated the school district allowing that to them to use that property, and obviously our facilities each year, so it's really a great relationship for a lot of years for us. I received a note from the city on June 9th that some of our temporary storage structures are out of compliance with city codes. And we've had some communication on that. We do have 4 of these. These containers we've had somewhere within the last 2 years. Each of them we do have a total of 4. They're utilized for right outside the gym for wrestling mats are in there. All the stuff for the Weiser wrestling tournament is in there. One of them hosts all of the drama costumes that Judy Taylor worked on through the years. One of them has the graduation, the portable stage that we take into that, and then some other things. One was just for football equipment. Really handy. They're lockable, rainproof, mouse-proof, but they come in conflict with the city ordinance, and so I'm going to go to the city council meeting for this meeting to discuss it, just to request possible exemption for editing of their current ordinance to allow C3, as I understand it, Arizona C3, so commercial, and to request the exemption if we could. Only one of them really is kind of visible. We could clearly move them. We'll offer to do whatever we need to do to try to maintain those. We are a tax-paying district. If we have to build other storage, it's going to cost us. It's going to be taxpayer who pays for it. We'd like to not really do that, but potentially we want to work with the city. We appreciate their efforts to keep the city beautiful for all residents. But we don't know how that maybe could work out with them. We appreciate what they do, but this is our situation. We'll make that request and see if we can do something with those to make it work for them and for us. We did receive an SRO grant, and we appreciate Kyla's huge efforts, Barb's huge efforts. Several of us worked on that to some extent, and we did receive that, and it's worth over $100,000 each year for 3 years. I don't have the exact numbers. I think I put it in one of our updates. We had the number, I don't know exactly. It's like 115, 170, something like that. Each year for 3 years that we can help pay for this school resource officer. So we'll work closely with the city for that. This would be a city employee. But they would work with the district and work in contributing to that cost, and hopefully allow them to have basically another officer on board for the next 3 years. So really pleased with that. The Upson, our contractor on the high school roof, has let us know that they came across an unanticipated rot in some of the joists. I think we have a couple pictures of those. And that's going to be some additional cost on the roofing. We do have the 3 roofing projects going on at Pioneer School, auxiliary gym, and the high school as well. So all 3 of those big projects are going on and they're underway. That one, if we decide to the bill today is going to $43,000, and that's an additional cost that wasn't in our plan. But we have to fix those joists. We can't just put roofing over top of rock. So that's a little stiff, but that was, ED Studio did come out and look at that and did an assessment to verify that yes, this is a big enough concern that we'll have to take care of that. So, we had met on last Thursday, and a big part of that topic was, of that meeting was, well, to look at a bunch of policies that are coming out from the state, the requirements, but also to consider the Fieldhouse that was donated to a district a few years ago, and then to kind of consider what it is that we can do, because clearly there is the intent of the district is to go out and put this Fieldhouse in place. It was part of, as mentioned, as part of our levy here. Was it 2 years ago? It was passed. It was last year, and so $400,000 will be dedicated toward that. The first $400,000 was dedicated toward the track. And the track has a portion of the track, because the track was $1.2 million. But the Fieldhouse, another $400,000 will go through that, but it's going to take more than $400,000 to erect this donated building that we have. So we looked at some of those costs and some optional plans on Thursday, and we'll discuss that some other night. Maybe figure out where we're going to land on that, this exact size of the building, and then the estimated costs, and which are just nothing but estimates so far. Now have to go out to bid, and hopefully I'll go out to bid here in the next, I would guess, in the next month, hopefully. So that'll be an exciting thing to get going in the district. We've been up to the track a few times. We're still not quite done there. We're working on finishing up some landscaping and having some discussions with contractors there, and hopefully get that taken care of to everybody's satisfaction here in the near future. We're not quite there yet. Summer schools were completed. Middle school had 20 students. Junior high school had 38 students, and those were done, finished up last week. Wendy Clark was our administrator for that. We interviewed for a school nurse this morning. We have a recommendation. You guys have heard in the news recently, you've heard that we were likely, the governor came out and said we need to think about having a 6% holdback. And that's for next year, for 26-27 school year. Not for this current year, but nevertheless, told us to kind of budget for that and consider that. So next spring, when we come out with budgets, we're going to have to consider that, and hopefully they'll let us know where we're at. We've also heard from the federal government that right now they have frozen some of our federal funds and some cutbacks on what we might expect for our federal lunch money fund, support systems for our migrant program, and Title II, which is our teacher support program. So those have been frozen. We don't know how that's going to play out. We might free up next week, but I know there's 24 states are bringing a lawsuit against the federal government saying you can't just freeze this the night before this money is going to be released, because we presented a budget, or presented a budget, it was approved, we have people hired in those positions, and now suddenly, well, we're not sure we're going to approve that, it's frozen. So I don't know, nobody's going to panic just yet, but clearly it's a bit of a concern. So we'll see how that plays out. So you guys picture the tree down at the middle school that huge branches came out of. We had Lyle Crawford came over and helped, and Marcy cleaned up some of the small stuff. Lyle Crawford came over and finished it up. Appreciate him. I've talked to a couple of local experts, and they're looking like they're telling me that this tree should come down. And clearly, we're not going to have a hazard sitting on the ground. As much as I hate to do that, I like trees as much as anyone else. But this tree branch lands on somebody, we have no problems. And we just can't afford to have that risk, in my opinion. looked at it today, and it's clearly way off colored from what it was last week. I saw that picture, seen the picture to you. It was really nice and green, and now it's just really light colored. And you notice that, and it's like, we got a serious problem there, and so we can't afford to have a liability like that on our school grounds, in my opinion. All right, I think that'd be enough. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for me? Mr. Kirk? Okay. We didn't have any citizen communications today before the meeting started. Is there any changes to the agenda that we need to talk about? Everybody had an opportunity, board members had an opportunity to look at the minutes from past meetings. Any questions or concerns about those minutes? Okay. I already asked about the cribbage. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I had a hard time staying. Any notices from staff, resignations, retirements?
They're in there.
Oh, yep, there it is, there is a.
So, there's two
Just gonna
resignations.
read that.
Okay.
Melanie's the dedicated reader. Miss Price, would you?
Melanie.
This is dear Kyla. Thank you for all you do and taking time to have met the other week in regards to my upcoming contract. Since we last met, I received a call from another school asking if I'd be in a consider position. It's with a heavy heart that I've decided to leave Pioneer. I believe this opportunity will help me both professionally and personally. I would like my resignation to be effective at the end of my current contract. I've taken my personal items from the classroom and left my work computer inside. Please let me know a convenient time to drop off my classroom keys. I hope you have a great summer. Best wishes for the future. Thank you again for a chance to work with the Weiser School District. Best wishes, Ashley Cole. To Superintendent Kirby and the Weiser School District. My name is Miranda Stansbury, and I'm currently the art teacher and Chromebook advisor at Weiser High School. I am writing to provide you with my formal letter of resignation from my role, which is attached to this message. I've been offered the opportunity to teach design at Sage International School in Milton, and I intend to accept this offer. As part of their onboarding process, they requested that a certified professional experience form be completed by my previous employer. Did you read all that? I want to sincerely thank you for your support, encouragement, and opportunities I've received during my time at the Weiser School District. It's been a privilege to begin my career in such a dedicated community. Sincerely, Miranda Stansbury.
Any staff that we would consider hiring?
Yeah, that's on D.
The content there, yeah.
If you just click on D, there's no attachment, they're all listed.
They're in that content.
Got it.
There's a new fourth grade teacher, Mallory. Well, she was a different name, and she applied, and then she got married last month. So now she's Mallory Forsyth, so that's how she'll be known. She's fourth grade, and she comes to us from Colorado, and she's highly recommended. She's just a kind of a dynamo. And then Kelsey Hammerman is kindergarten, and she was just offered this morning. And Mr. Davis, our new school principal, offered her the position, and she comes from, I think, Connecticut. And yes. And she actually had taught in the area, and then had moved back Jessica to help with some things there and had taught there, and now she wants to come back to Idaho, so and I understand she's quite a dynamo. And then the middle school hired, they created kind of and if you look at those district moves, they created a position because they had a math teacher that moved to art, and so what they did is they wanted more extracurricular, exploratory type stuff, and so maybe Spanish, maybe some career exploration, that kind of thing. So this particular teacher is able to teach math, but she's also going to teach some of these exploratory. So I think she's going to teach 2 periods of math, and the rest of the day is going to be to give some more electives to our middle school kids. So kind of a fun thing to do there. And then if you'll notice those district moves, Jay Van Ness is moving from middle school art to high school art. Lena Oyubides is moving from math and career explorations to art at the middle school. And, you know, honest to Pete, I'm telling you, we had 2 art teachers within our district, and usually if you have an art opening, you don't get any applications. This was Nana from heaven, I'll tell you. And Shelley Travers will be moving from Park School to the middle school reading program. And Vivian Odette has been teaching PE and doing some intervention at Park, but now she's going to do a 5th grade classroom. And Michael Lewis, I spelled the name incorrectly, will be moving from Pioneer School SPED to High School SPED. And Morgan Burke was English at the middle school in 8th grade, and she's moving to the high school to do English. And then Ann Phillips is moving from 6th grade English to 8th grade English to fill the position of Morgan Burke. I think I have all those dots connected. I feel like we have those red lines going everywhere. And Jessica McEnroy was offered a position today for the school nurse. And guess what? We still have openings after all those moves. And they're both in English. And so the middle school and the high school both have English positions that they need to get filled. I didn't get a letter of resignation from a staff member which opened up that English, that high school English, but the contract was not signed within the 10-day period, which made the position become open. I should let you know that one. So that's why it is middle school, high school English.
Yeah, she's notified verbally.
Well, yeah, she's notified the principal, but she didn't sign the contract, and we let her know that the contract needed to be signed in order for, and that she said, I can't sign it. So.
Okay. Any applications for those 2 jobs?
We have one.
You have one application in private, so we don't have quite enough.
So the two principals are gonna duke it out.
I know they're working on it. Drew's making a call to check on those possibilities. So I am confident, somewhat confident. We will for sure have a teacher, but the police will learn for themselves. So hopefully we'll have a teacher.
Okay. Any questions about all those moves?
So you gave us where the 4th grade Park teacher, the kindergarten pilot, where's the school nurse coming from?
We had, she's from Weiser. She's a graduate of Weiser High School. She has been a school nurse in Wyoming and moved back to the area. Yeah, so she has some experience in that.
She was a good nurse. She worked at the hospital before the moved away. So that's awesome.
She has a current nursing job in Savannah Street.
Any other? Financial report?
Okay, well, all you have in your packets is the year-end financials for the schools. Our audit is Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. So while I could have provided you with financials, they literally would have meant absolutely nothing because there will be significant adjustments made to them as we go through our year-end process. With the entries that I have made to this point, It does appear that our fund balance will hold strong, which I'm very excited about. You know, we got the news that we were going to be held harmless with our funding, and then we got the news that they had funded us for some Oregon students that they shouldn't have, and so that took some of that away. Seems like it's all coming out in the wash, and we are going to end probably a little bit better than what we anticipated. And with that knowledge, I would like to recommend, if we do come in higher than where our fund balance was projected, that we take those dollars and move them over into that plant facilities fund to pay for future projects. You know, as Mr. Kirby stated earlier, we spent $1.3 million on a track that we only received $400,000 in levy dollars to support. So we depleted that plant facilities fund for emergency funding purposes. And if there is extra after the accountant does all of his year-end adjustments, I'd really like to move some of that over into that plant facilities just to reserve for those emergency situations. You know, if you've seen on the last couple of months accounts payables that we've had a number of furnaces go out. We've had a cooling unit at the middle school go out, a compressor at the high school go out. And those are not $2,000 fixes anymore. They're $9,000 and $11,000 to fix those. And so we really need to have some type of a reserve for emergency facilities issues. The money that we received from the state for the modernization money, the $6 million that we're spending on our roofs and perhaps on our Fieldhouse, it can't be used for day-to-day maintenance. So, and the state took away our day-to-day maintenance money in order to give us that lump sum to fix capital issues. So we don't have a funding source for those day-to-days, and so what I would really like is, with your approval, that if we can do that, if there is excess there, just to move that over into that plant facilities and just kind of earmark it for those emergency facilities issues that come up throughout the years. So that's really all that I have for you. Unless you've got any specific questions for me?
Looking through the reports, anybody have any questions?
Anything you're consented in the motion, you could give me the blessing to move any excess over to that facilities fund. If you would approve that, I would really appreciate that. Because Dan I will turn in all of my financials to him, and he will have our audit done on Thursday. So we'll have a chance again to have that conversation. And we can always move it at a later date. If you'd like it left in the general fund, we can do that. It's just nice to have that kind of tie out at year end to reserve those dollars.
Okay. Any questions on the bills that needed to be paid?
Yes, Mel and I had a little talk. She was surprised at the cost of Moreton.
Oh, who
Yes,
wasn't?
and who wasn't? And I'll tell you what happened. The ICRAM was the liability insurance that we used in if we had any concerns that we would work with ICRAM. Well, I don't know how that came apart, but they split ways. They were, and Barb was a little anxious, and I became a little anxious because July 1, we would not have had a liability policy. And on June 15th, Moreton finally contacted us because we didn't know what was happening. We knew ICRAM was out. We didn't know if we had to go search our own liability insurance. And anyway, the long story short is they did find another vendor, but at a significant cost, and it was up $30,000. And I guess it's just because of liability insurance that's coming about, and that there are claims being made, and insurance costs are going up, but our liability insurance went up $30,000, and that was after you had approved the June 9th budget hearing. And so we had to pay, instead of about $130,000, we were paying $162,000. So Do you have an add to that?
I budgeted for a 10% increase, so I had budgeted $148,000 for that. So we're not completely $30,000 short in that line item, but we are $50,000 short. And it's not just our liability insurance, it's also our property insurance. And the insurance industry nationwide, because of the fires that we've seen and those kinds of things, it's just going up, and the cost of replacing buildings is continuing to go up. So they're having to increase those prices. When we met with Chad, he did tell us that this was less an increase than ICRIM was recommending, which is one of the reasons that they went to market to find an alternate carrier. And ICRIM was also going to reduce the amount of insurance that we had. Our buildings are insured for replacement value. So not a lot of options. And the unfortunate part is a lot of insurance carriers are just not doing property insurance right now. You know, State Farm, California has created a self-insured insurance plan at the state level because there's very few companies that will insure a home in California now because of the fires that they've had and the devastation that they've suffered. So we're probably lucky that Morton went to bat for us and found somebody that would take us. They knew the 1st of March that they were going to have a problem with the renewal with ICRIM, and they had been looking from March until the middle of June when they finally found somebody that they thought would meet our needs. And it's not just us, it's schools all over the state of Idaho that are insured through Morton, previously insured through ICRIM.
Even at 162, I think we do get a little bit of a discount.
Holy smokes.
That's what happens when you get old. Excuse me.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm old. I bounce.
I don't think we bounce as well as we think we do. You'll feel that tomorrow.
You may have to invest in
My God.
Sure, your chair.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Oh, and she asked about, I'm sorry.
Oh, some medical equipment.
Medical equipment, and the medical
It's
equipment we
refurbished.
purchased was about $4,900, and it was for the CNA program. And was that, I can't think of what the equipment was.
It's
Is it a,
it's more than the AED. It's the next step up from just the AED devices. It's like the hospital brand of being able to resuscitate somebody
and
after
it
their
was a
heart has stopped.
refurbished one. So, and we had some CTE money that we, you know, some of the, what happens is you have all these programs. We have our CTE programs, and they're spending money on their programs, but at the end of the year, maybe some things didn't come in, they ordered and it wasn't going to come in, so they let go of that. So all those funds go in a pool, and then the program that has the highest need will come in and say, hey, I could use all that pooled money, I'll use that. So they purchased, the CNA program purchased that. And so it was $4,900, and I think Melanie was going, what did you guys buy? It's a refurbished, and we did. We bought a refurbished, but it'll be good for the kids for their CNA program.
The new one was $38,000.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a good thing.
Yeah. We're talking to the hospital guy that knows the equipment purchase price. So it'll work for our EMT kids as well. So yeah, it was a good thing.
Is that it, Melanie, or do you have more questions?
Oh, that was it.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, also considering that we move the excess funds to the general fund.
No, to the facility.
To the facility fund, from that. The excess funds to the facility fund, as needed for the audit on Wednesday.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the consent
Who seconded
agenda.
that?
Oh, nobody, anybody want to
I
second?
said, I didn't write that down.
Thank you very much. I'll second it. Okay, I guess I could have said I second it and then move on, but thank you, Mr. Walker. Okay, now it's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. moving right along, we're moving to our action items. Considering the authorization of a bid to purchase of 400 plus Chromebooks.
If you remember when we approved the budget, we had a fund transfer into the technology department to fund those Chromebooks. The Chromebooks have about a 5-year life, and we have 379 of them that will not have security this year. That's what their planned obsolescence and end of life is for those Chromebooks, and so we would like to get those. It's kind of a formality. You approve the fund transfer, approve the purchase of them at that point in time, but now we actually want to send a document out to the vendors. We expect the total cost to be less than $200,000, so we don't have to put it in the newspaper. Sorry. We don't have to put it in the newspaper, but we do need to physically send it out to 3 different vendors, and we'd like to do that tomorrow and give them a deadline to respond to us by. Kevin has put together the specifications of that meet the school's needs, and so we'd just like to be able to send that out to some vendors and see if we can get the best price and get those Chromebooks in kids' hands when school starts in August.
Okay, any questions?
Approve sending out this document for consideration of authorization to bid and purchase 400 Chromebooks for the school year 2025-26.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. We're considering the purchase of 400 plus Chromebooks. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Motion carries. Considering the Fieldhouse construction, it's going out to bid for the Fieldhouse construction. Did I skip one? Nope, I didn't. We had a meeting, a special meeting on this last Thursday to talk about some options. We had 3 options that were brought to us. One option was to just put the building up with no storage, no bathrooms, just your basic skeleton building, putting it up. And that option was going to be roughly $675,200. The second option was to have storages, concessions, and some bathrooms that would be available to the public during events. And that option was $1.5 million, roughly $1,484,870. And the third option was to increase the size of the field house to go 20 feet wider than we were, and to also have an extended roof. Was it option 2? Option 2 had a higher roof as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's down in that bottom little.
Option 2 had a 22-foot eve height. Option 1 had a 16-foot eve height. And
But
option
you can
3
go
also
into
has.
that bottom
Yeah, for
corner.
Yeah.
25.
And add that 20, but you can add to the 25 foot.
Oh, okay. And we discussed that in order for cheerleaders to do their stunts, 16 feet was not tall enough for them to not get hurt in the beams, in the rafters. And I decided that I don't want to be thrown 16 feet in the air and do a trust fall, but that's what they do. They're pretty good at it. So we need to consider which option we would like for EV Studios to go out to bid for us at this time. Did I miss anything?
Going to bid doesn't mean that you have to do it. I mean, you could reject all bids after they come in, so you still have another option. You're not saying that we're going to do this, we just want real costs.
We're just picking out which option we
ones?
would like to have them.
Would have to get an actual cost of.
So the consideration of 25 feet high is that would be the height of a basketball court. So if it was ever going to be used for basketball down the trail, that would be a consideration. So option 2 and 2 would both have that. So really, yeah, that's down. There's like an extra $15,000 to $20,000 on option 2 if you went that direction. 81 by 140 was the original size. It's a 16-foot roof because dunking has to be at least 20. That's what option 2 went to, with a higher roof. And then option 3 was if you went 80 feet by 100 feet wide, and then that added $300,000 to the cost. So somewhere in there, we need to kind of set the vision for Weiser School District Fieldhouse. It's going to be used for school items, student occupied, so hopefully some classrooms in there, potentially bands. Could be some of their practices in there. There are a number of options that haven't been determined yet as to how that would utilize the spring sports. Clearly, want a place for it, but we have had a lot of discussion on why we need to fill the house and where we're at. So I guess that's not really where we're at right now. It's just I'm ready to go out to bid and which one of these options or modified options we would like to go.
Any questions, comments?
I'd like to see us go to 3.
Go to what?
Consider 3. If we're just going out to bid, 3 would be on the top line. I mean, we can always reduce. Pretty hard to increase. Plus, we do have to put classrooms in there. You got that extra 25 feet you can utilize. One of the cheapest square foot costs.
So EV, we got just a generic rough. This is a generic rough 1.7.
They talked to some contractors that they knew that everybody's just kind of roughing it out, but that's where they came up with those figures. So hopefully that if we went out to bid, it would be somewhere in that neighborhood because probably, and hopefully the contractors they visited with would be willing to bid on it.
What was the reason for, just for public reasons, what was the reason for extending that extra 100 or extra 20 feet on the building?
So the current high school gym is 104 by 110. It should be 100 by 140, which the first 20 feet is being taken up all the way across. It's east end with bathroom, storage, and such. So it really be 100 by 120. So I guess probably potentially, if you ever wanted to have 2 basketball courts side by side, they're 84 feet long, 50 feet wide, so if you're 100 feet long, you could have 80, you could have 7 feet on each end, you could have basketball courts side by side. Now, I don't think anybody ever has said that would be a primary use of this facility. But 10, 15, 20 years down the road, if you ever wanted to, you could potentially do that. You would need to go with a 25-foot roof as well to do that. So, but it would be, if it's used for baseball, baseball practice in the spring when the weather's nasty, the bigger the better. But there's a point of diminishing returns. At what point, because you've got a 10-year plan, and you've got some other costs coming up down the trail, and you put that much into this project instead of the other things that you want to do. So you guys have looked at some of those budgetary items, and so we need to be fiscally responsible and look at how this facility. And whatever the case is, it's going to be really nice for the public having those bathrooms, having HOA to all the spring sports, having concessions, having outdoor water spigot where they can fill up with water as they go through. There's a lot of the cheerleading stuff is what I've heard is like probably the biggest use of this, and they're But kind of, sometimes I understand kind of the red-headed stepchild, they get last choice on scheduling of the gym, during sports seasons. You got basketball practice going on, the wrestling, work, and they practice, and they're coming in at 8 o'clock at night or 5:30 in the morning, whatever the times are, and real late or early, and this would kind of give them a spot. It's kind of, this is what they're doing, and that's a big group of girls that deserve to have a good spot and reasonable practice time. They can practice right after school. And so it can be used for a lot of things. It'd be pretty exciting to get something going. We've just been looking forward to it for a while since our last meeting. Several of these options you guys give us.
Is there any reason why we can't just go out and get bids for both 2 and 3? Is that going to cost us an increase for us?
That would increase the cost. It would, I would really be firm on what you want to construct when you tell EV Studios to go out for bid. Because as Nancy would say, it's going to cost us for the legal ad and then for them to get it all together. So I would be really sure of the building you want. And Barb's right, you don't have to accept it. If they come back and it's $3 million to do this and you don't have the money, but it's still a cost to us to figure out and not just do the two. And so come up with what you feel is going to be the best for us to meet the most needs.
Well, I like the idea of the larger option 3. I struggle with the $300,000 to $400,000 cost difference when I look at our 10-year plan, and that these are just, things we think we need. So I struggle, I guess, thinking, the option 2 meets the needs that we have, more above and beyond the needs that we have at the current time. So it's hard for me to justify option 3 for that reason, although I think the great.
I agree with that sentiment. The public, they know that we put in that levy for this building, and the money going to this building was $400,000. And the difference between Plan 2 and Plan 3 is $300,000. Did I say $400,000 is what we had from the public to go towards this. This building's going to cost us over $1 million, and the difference between the 2 plans is $300,000. And that's almost what we levied for this building to cost. So I understand the square footage and looking at, well, the bigger the building is, the less dollars the square footage is. But I don't think that outweighs our budget and what we have the money to do now. I know we need to look at the future, but we also need to look at what, we can't break it. We can't break the bank. So that's also my opinion. I like option 2 because I don't like the price, but I like to spend $300,000 less.
And it still meets our needs.
Are you still both wanting the 25-foot additional on that?
I think with each, I guess 22 is, I think.
The stunting
Because
only
if
needs
we're not-
20, right?
Yeah,
So 22 would
22 is already
be.
a
20 or 20?
I thought it was 21.4 feet.
21 point something. It's
So
close.
22 is high enough.
It's high enough for stunting.
So the only reason to go to 25 is if we were to have a basketball court.
And you could go
Which
basketball
looking-
court this way rather than this way.
Looking
But
at
it's still even 25 feet tall.
It would need to be 25 foot. And it's 15, I think.
15 to 20,000
Yeah.
to go.
15 to 20,000, a little higher.
Yeah.
But if to put a basketball court in there, we just paid Hicks $584,000, and we're not done paying them for how much they're gonna cost the high school gym to put, I mean, it's a bigger gym. Well, actually, similar
Same
size.
size as this.
So, I don't see us spending another $1 million to put a gym in the metal building. Gym floor. A gym
Right now it's
floor.
concrete floor.
Right. You could put basketball hoops on concrete floor. But there's the problem. You'd use it for shooting and shooting.
Street ball.
What's the typical size of the classroom, John? You know,
About 30, 20 by 30, 30.
30 by 30, 30 by 20.
Somewhere around there.
What's the dimensions of the building?
85, 140, but
So
we
120
take
for
it.
that area.
You're taking 20 off of that 140 side, so 80 by 120.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think like how many classrooms you could fit into an 80 by 120 if you had to. And how much, I mean, would you be able to add more classrooms if you had that? I don't know if we really would be able to hit the extra 20 feet. I'm just saying if you had to subdivide this up for extra rooms, which are going to be cheaper than basketball building. I agree with you guys. I don't think going with option 3. Seeing that it's $300,000 more, which is almost our levy cost.
But remember, we spent 1.3 million on the track that we only had 400,000 to pay for it. So,
Right. We
Sounds
don't
like we're in the
have
same
that-
boat.
that money, I
Yeah,
just-
and this will probably cost more than what it's.
It'll be interesting.
And this is with the building being donated
I know, but
It's
be careful
just
what you wish
donated
for.
money.
of erection
Yeah.
and the foundation.
Yeah, I know. Who knew how much that was gonna cost, so, yeah.
What a gift.
No.
Not rejecting it, let's put it that
No.
way, but,
I mean,
It's a need, we do need it.
yeah,
It's,
right. I think it would be absolutely necessary for, I mean, even just for our cheerleaders. I mean, I've seen them all done in Memorial Park. It's like 16 more. Girls do it, do not have a gym you can go to? No, they can't. Frost on the floor, frost on the grass. It's not pretty.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we go out for bid for option number 2, standard 22-foot height.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion been made and second for option number 2, the standard 22-foot height. Did you have a question?
no, I was thinking, what was that, did you say for the height, but 22?
Well,
Well, it's whatever they said, it's like 21.5.
Not with the
It's
additional.
over 20 feet, it's because that was the way it was for construction. So 20 feet is what we need for this thing. So it's gonna be like, wherever that comes in, that's 20.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So bus number 20, you want to...
there was just a line of people waiting to buy that bus. And all of them had $0 on their little bid documents that they had returned it to us. So we received 0 bids to purchase the bus. And so I would ask that you would authorize us to scrap it.
Okay.
I'll move. Plus 20.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to scrap bus number 20. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. See ya. All right, in our last working meeting, we went over some policies. We went over the state policies that were required. There was number 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
The
9.
only amendment to this one is I'm taking out policy 2320F1, which is the form to match 2320, because evidently with the, I don't know, with the 2320 policy, it says that the form to match 2320 has to be 2320 F1. So I'm taking out the form to match 2320 F1. So I would ask that you would authorize us to scrap it.
Okay.
the state said that if you are not teaching remember the 9 items of human sexuality, if you're not teaching that, you can still have the opt-out policy that you currently have. So, and we don't teach that. So I'm taking 2320F1 out. So we're not to consider that one.
Okay. So
That was the new form that delineated the lineup, the things that were going to be taught. And Mr. Kirby and I talked about it, and he said, no, that one's not,
If you
those
are
aren't
going to
being
teach
taught.
those things, you're going to have to opt in.
Yeah.
Teacher that's an opt-out, like he was now.
And the State Department said that was fine. If you're not teaching those subjects.
we did have some changes to which option we were going to choose, but we talked about just keeping the options that we currently had.
And we do that. That was to provide instruction in absence.
Quickly going through, I just
No, I'm just looking at 3010, the PR one.
Okay.
We have, that's loaded on here, it's the one that has all the stuff on it. Just wanted to make sure that
Policy 3010.
PR.
PR.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it hasn't been updated.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, dear. Okay, I'll get that updated with our name. I thought I put that one back in there, so I do have that, but I put the drafts on here, then I have to go over to the other side and take out the draft side, and then I have to delete it off this side and bring that one back in, so I decided it's that one.
And then there's the option A and B, and then there's a select one on there.
Yes.
Most of those have it.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to ask for a motion is there any other questions or is there any other changes? I would entertain a motion to accept or reject these policies. We have to accept it, but you can make the motion you want.
Actually, make a motion that we adopt policies that are listed under subsection D.
Okay, good. Cool.
I'll second. Sorry, you're gonna go all
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept the policies that the state has sent to us, listed in subsection E. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We now have an executive session that we need to go to, so we're going to invite our large audience. Al, is there treats provided by somebody? So they've got to have a treat.
Thanks for coming.
We entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we waive tuition fees for student A based on the state education's accepted waiver form.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Awesome. Last thing on our action items is to consider the language, a resolution for a supplemental levy in November. And the reason why we're considering this now is we need to have that language submitted by August.
August 29th.
August 29th, so that gives us considering the language this time and accepting that language in August, and so that we can get that to the correct, in the correct places for that to be on the ballot.
I included the levy from the May 24, the resolution wording from the May 24 election. This was for the 750 for 2 years, but remember, state code, Idaho code does require that you itemize this with reasons for the levy, and I guess we could consider that is what purposes do you think would you like to go out for this same? I don't know about the technology upgrades. You're going to need
We
that.
need to buy 400 Chromebooks every year, period.
Okay, and I will tell you this, I know Barb has talked to you about, excuse me, the food services and the SPED costs that are going off the chart, and they we might find that when we get our audit completed, Barb's coming in and talk to me a little bit, and I do believe our food services is going to not be on the, I mean, honestly, the news, the federal programs, that bill that was passed is going to really affect our food service program. And yet we are still required, we've got to feed the kids, and yet we have to meet those federal requirements for what we feed the kids, and we're not getting reimbursed for what we feed the kids. So it's burning the candle at both ends. So there will be some consideration for you to consider SPED costs, National School Lunch Program, supplementing that. How you feel about the no pay to play. We're still, the State Department has not, the legislature has not, they're still supporting only half-day kindergarten, and we have full-day kindergarten. The upgrades, and now we've got the sports complex that we think. So there's a lot of items to be considered in the supplemental, and it may be something we consider higher. So,
And it's kind of confusing to both us and also to our patrons. We'll have to do a really good job explaining it to people. The November election won't affect their taxes until December of the next year. So, and I'm recommending that we run the election in November for 2 reasons. We would normally do this in May, just like we did 2 years ago. We are replacing the levy that is expiring. So it's not in addition to, it's continuation of. And I asked for it to be done in November because we have board members on the ballot, so it is a school election, so it's a good time to be doing that because we'll have our patrons coming out for the individual election. And so it seems to be more transparent to do it all at the same time. And then if for whatever reason it does fail, it gives us the opportunity to find out from our patrons what they liked, what they didn't like, and then we can fix that and try it again in May, and then still be able to get those funds in December of the following year.
and it also helps if we do pass the resolution for the supplemental in November, budgeting in March will be a little easier because you'll know what to budget for that December. So that's another consideration for you. I would think that that's how we should do that each year after.
So in the past, we've had roughly $130,000 earmarked for public kindergarten.
And that will be higher because we've gone to the career ladder, and so those salary costs are a little bit more.
What, like, estimated more?
Well, right now the state is still giving us literacy dollars. And so we do use some of those funds to fund our all-day kindergarten and to fund our teaching assistants in there. So, and we've gone down to 4 teachers instead of 5 teachers. So the 130 pays for 2 teachers. So if we have 4 teachers and they're only funding half-day kindergarten, we only qualify for 2 teachers. And so the 130 would fund those other 2 teachers.
The third, Okay.
Because this last year, we had 5 kindergarten teachers, and so.
But
while-
at half a day, that's why, or half a day versus
Yes.
full day, that's why they're two, okay.
Yes,
So then we have been, in the past, athletics was 162,000, which is the no pay to play, it's athletics. How is that 162,000 covered?
the state gives us no money at all to pay our coaches, and our coaches' salaries are $300,000 with everything. So
That's only about half.
it's about half of what it costs us for our athletic programs.
And they don't pay for any of the gas for going to these events, so there's a little bit of expense, and then all equipment costs are on the district as well, so this kind of helps offset a lot of that. We're not buying new things every year, though.
So other than last year, we were, $350,000 a year before we went to the 400 for the track. With just those two things, and we don't know what the Chromebooks are going to be because we're going to put that out and get the best price for those.
Right, but we do know that we're very, very close to 300 and
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for doing what we're going to do.
yeah, they were just shy of $400, and so we have market estimates on them, so we know about what they're going to cost this year. Of course, we won't know next year what they're going to be, with tariffs and everything, because they're definitely going to be an imported item, so they'll go up. But we have an art
400
technology.
at roughly $400 is
Mhm,
160,000.
160,000.
Add another zero, 160,000 roughly.
Yep.
I was close. I think it's 16 of the zeros.
And that's what I actually had in the budget this year to transfer over to the technology fund, was the 160,000 for the Chromebooks. So I would like to see that.
What are we going to be short per year, food services wise?
Well, this year, they spent $279,000 more than what they brought in, and that's without the cuts next year. We have no idea what those cuts are going to be next year. We just know that food prices increased, and our reimbursement did not increase, and so it may not be even that they reduce the amount of the reimbursement if they just don't fund an increase. It still won't make ends meet. So yeah, the district has already loaned the food services department $200,000 to get them through, because they won't get another reimbursement until October. The first real reimbursement will be in October. So we've got to meet the 4 months worth of salaries and buying the inventory to get school started in the fall.
So just with those things, my calculations, I just figured 280,000 for food services if we're that much short, 160,000 with Chromebooks, 130,000. I just stayed. I know that prices are going up and the career ladder, but I just stayed $130,000 for all the kindergarten and the sports package. The sports, if we stayed, is $162,000. That's $732,000. And we levied $750,000 this year, or last time, banking on $800,000 for the track and Fieldhouse. So the upside to this discussion is if that's all we went out for, we're roughly the same amount, because when you get the solid pricing, you're roughly the same amount that we went out for last time without the upgrades to the Fieldhouse and the track. And the taxpayers did not get levied last year for those dollars. So appreciated the community voting for it, but it was fantastic that as a school district we did not need to levy for those dollars because the state came back and gave us those funds.
We had to levy in order for it to offset. That, you have to think about that. Otherwise,
Right,
yeah.
but the money
Yeah.
came from
Yeah.
the state, which is
State's
our
income taxes, not just
income taxes.
we use
So
school
we
district
were
property
still
tax.
taxed for it, but it wasn't an additional
Right.
levy tax.
And this would be flat depending on, and I apologize, I should have called and gotten the per 100,000 from the county, but I don't know if they were ready for that.
They don't have it yet.
Yeah, they weren't ready for that. So
So,
I will know that when you come in so that people know what the cost of is going to be.
and the other question that we have talked about in the past was, these are 2-year levies and potential running a 4.
No, you
Increase
can only do
of 4.
2 on supplementals.
Okay.
It's the plant
It's
facility.
plant-
you
it's
can
the
do,
other,
yeah.
okay,
And we
so we
did a
can-
4 for
okay.
plant facility, but it's,
Thank
you can go up to 10 with that. with the plant
But for
facility.
this one, it is a 2-year
It's only 2.
levy. Okay.
And plant facility does expire the next year.
Yeah.
So we would be looking at running again in November to renew the plant facility.
Thoughts?
Spread those out farther apart.
Well, and the plant facilities, we
The
should
plant
go,
facility should have been, let's just say, in
plant facilities,
retrospect.
we can go up to 10 years.
Yeah, and they will be further apart.
And since I've been here, we've been running levy every other year for this reason. So
I like the idea of doing it at the 750 mark, if your math is correct. Instead
And
of
we can either
raising it.
increase those individual line items, or we could actually throw some in there for special education.
Yeah, special education is going to take some, I mean, it would help to offset, we have to meet the MOU each year, but the cost of our, a lot of our purchase services in that EOT costs and the SLP costs, and those things are required by the state, and we don't get as much reimbursement as we should from the state, and and honestly, you guys, our special ed, even with the reduction of 2 staff members, it's still going to cost us more, I guarantee, this year. It's hard. And it's,
Well, right now, without having the June bill processed yet, we've spent $260,000 on speech services, on third-party speech services. That doesn't include the staff that we have hired that provide speech services.
and the reimbursement has been,
And the government also, because Medicaid is federal funded, and so that's also been in the big beautiful bill, that's also been cut.
so we have to, by law, provide these services, but we're not going to be reimbursed for providing those services. And so, again, the double-edged sword. And so it is necessary, and those kids need that, and we do need to provide for those kids. But it costs the district.
We need to consider other options rather than having, specific services here, outsourcing some of those other options. We do have one student that attends Meridian for deaf services because we do not have an ASL certified teacher. So just the transportation costs on that child are just under $5,000 a month. And then we, on top of that, have to pay the Meridian School District for educating that student. So, and that's just one student. So it doesn't make sense just to bus everybody to another district just because we don't have the personnel. It gets very expensive very quickly as well.
So this is just considering languages, we're actually not emotionally taking action on this.
No, you're just throwing out your ideas and being ready for presentation. And we do have, the August 7th is the Thursday before our board meeting. We could have another work session. We could finalize the numbers and have them ready for you and in a resolution format for you to present to the public on the, I don't know, what is that, the 14th? I don't know.
11th.
Yeah. So we would be ready for that, so if that's okay, I just put that in there so you can see what we've done and some
Yeah,
thoughts.
no, I appreciate that. It's conversation, you're right.
And again, I will have those, hopefully I don't know if I'll have the numbers from the county by then or not.
I don't know if we will or not.
I really don't.
They should be closer to having them because our L2s are due September 2nd. But we filed for an extension on our L2 because the $780,000 that we got last year to pay off our levies, the state won't know what that dollar amount is until September 2nd.
So this just comes down to, fiscal responsibility and, what we're here to do. We've talked over and over, to tighten the belt. We're doing everything we can, from not hiring every position that somebody's retired or left, the necessary ones we have to, but we've cut back on employees and yet still we're got work to do, but in order to educate our kids in a good system, we need to maintain the funds it takes. So, good discussion. Any questions or considerations that we need to continue to talk about as we consider this levy?
So as we look at ballot language, we want those 5 items on there, and then you can put the dollar amount on each one of those line items. Is that kind of a consensus that we're moving with?
What was the 5 items?
The sped would be the
Sped would-
difference.
Oh, sped would make up the difference.
Sped,
If we are 732.
Kindergarten, athletics,
Athletics, food services.
Food services, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was table, is that right, Mr.?
Yeah, I tell you, we won't make any consider take any action on this time.
Okay.
Table is for the August board meeting and potentially having a working meeting before the board meeting or maybe a working meeting after. I mean, we'll talk about what that looks like so we can get the language right.
Yeah.
Be able to get some opinion
Yeah.
of the public and kind of let them know what. Obviously, we're going to talk more about it. If we elect to put this on the ballot, we're going to talk more about it, in the future. But it's always good to hear from the provider to get to that point as well. So appreciate it.
We're not the only district looking at this. Fruitland passed a $1.6 million each year for 2 years in the May election on a supplemental. So they're going to be.
Okay. Great discussion. That is.
I was shocked.
I was shocked that they passed it very heavily.
That is
They
tabled.
down. That's exciting.
Discussion items, anything that you want on the future agenda? Okay. We will definitely have the levy back on the agenda. We will have those other policies that we didn't go over. We have them coming up. What other thing do we have during this meeting?
We talked about the gate admission.
The gate admission free, yeah, to the yearly passes, we want to put that back on. We do have some communication. Anything else? Sorry, I kind of sped right through that one. Okay, communication. Melanie does have a couple cards.
I have one card, I believe, I'm not gonna read every name to you because I'll let you just look at the card. I believe it's from the Pioneer Elementary, just looking at all the names, but it's thank you for the cake, for teacher appreciation. Yeah. You guys can look at it, all the teachers signed it. This one's thank you for renting the bus to us for our annual wagon train. We appreciate it. Weiser River Trail Board of Directors.
And then I have a couple things that, she is Nakamura, a long time Pioneer School secretary passed away, and there was a celebration for her last week. And Shiz is, she loved kids. I mean, absolutely, she was the sweetest thing. And so her contribution she chose to, she Japanese American League gives a scholarship, and so she had that. But she also had one for a buddy bench, and so you could contribute to Pioneer School. And a buddy bench is just if you're having a bad day and you just need a friend, if you sit there and then someone sees you on the buddy bench, you're supposed to go over and sit with them. So she's going to buy 2 of those for Pioneer School. Cool. Sweet.
And people can make donations at the school.
Absolutely. Make donations to Pioneer School in her name. That would be perfect. Also, the ISBA conference is coming up in November, and I know I wrote to y'all, and I haven't made plane reservations because I'm not sure Barb's going. I'm not sure I'm going. Mr. Kirby thought he was going, and Andrea thinks she's going, but I don't know anybody else.
You got my email?
You are going to go? You were not sure.
I said hold on.
Hold off.
Because I'll drive with them.
You will
So my
drive.
question, so I'm gonna.
You're not going.
I'm planning on going as well. I replied, if there's 3 or 4 of us, why can't we take the travel and go to the bus and
I would love
go
it.
together that way?
I would love it.
Just don't call that. You're still rolling.
And then,
I will tell you, that would be an option. That would be a really nice option. It would be.
I think, you know, I just think it's gonna be cheaper
It
to drive
holds
up there.
15 people,
If
so
we-
I think there's-
any of us that wanted to go, it's still gonna be cheaper
I'll
to
block
drive
it out
down.
so no one else can have it that weekend. That'd be great. That'd be great. But I need to, in fact, it's gonna open up next week. So the way they do it with that ISBA, they will tell you, hey, the registration's open up, so you have to register to attend the conference with ISBA, and then you get a code so you can call the hotel and make a reservation, because you can't just block the rooms ahead of not going. So I kind of need to know if you're going to go, because they're not real, what do I say, the remittance, if you decide not to go, it's kind of got, I don't know, what do they call a restocking fee or something, I'm not sure. So I just kind of want.
So I'm committed.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And now you're not sure yet?
I'll find out.
Okay,
Seriously.
and I think Andrea was for sure, and Mr. Kirby thought he would go. And I think, now I will tell you, if you take I'm not going to say the Wolverine van, which is great. I would Uber to restaurants because that thing isn't probably the easiest to park around there. So yeah, that's
we walked in some pretty poor conditions last time.
Yes.
Some of us ran.
It was so cold. It was cold. I was with you guys.
Yeah.
That was cold. That was very cold, icy cold. I have another teacher that worked for the district, Nikki Katarabak. I don't know if you remember her. She taught math at the high school, and she was instrumental in kind of helping, get the Eureka math, but kind of getting our curriculum alignment for mathematics, and she did some really great mentoring to some of our younger teachers. And yet when the family asked me to look things up about her, she'd only worked for the district for 2 years, and I'm telling you what, her impact is 10 years down the road. So she was a really nice lady. You might know the Grandy's, Hannah and Grandy that works for the school. It's Odo Grandy's grandmother, and so Jill and Jerome Grandy as well. That's Jill's mom. And then Barb mentioned school trustee elections are coming up in November, and I've got you two that need to pick up. August 5th is when you can, I've got packets ready, and I certainly encourage anyone that is interested in running for school board. They have to live in Zone 3 or Zone 2, and the packets have to be turned back in by August 29th, same as our resolution. So, and it's the same, the forms changed, but the same format. So you have to come in and certify that you want to run,
then you have to get 5 people to nominate you, then you come back in and you get it notarized, and then we take it to the county and make sure all those people, that's the thing, is they have to be over 18 and they have to be a registered voter in your zone to sign your nomination form. Any questions on that? Okay, and the election's coming up in November.
Till the last day. Okay, and as we communicate at the beginning of this meeting, we're open to public comments again, but no paperwork was turned in with us after, remind people as we go through them, we have two times. This one would be for somebody that wanted to talk about something that was not necessarily on the agenda. So, seeing as how we have none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we conclude, adjourn the meeting. Think of the word. Adjourn.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you, guys.